Cherry Mahan. On Friday, February 22, 1985, in Winfield Township, Butler County, Pennsylvania, a school bus pulled up to its regular stop on Corn Planter Road. A girl stepped off, walked past a parked van, and turned toward the uphill driveway that led to her family's trailer. The walk was about 150 yards. She never made it to the front door. Cherry Ann Mahan was born on August 14, 1976, in Saxonburg, Pennsylvania. She was a third grader at Winfield Elementary School, a quiet girl who wore cat-eye glasses and spent her free time playing kick the can and skating with metal-wheeled skates clamped to her shoes. Her mother, Janice Mahan, was just 16 when Cherry was born. Janice graduated high school, attended community college, and later worked at a nursing home. She married Leroy McKinney, a Vietnam veteran, and Cherry served as the flower girl at their wedding. The family lived in a trailer on Corn Planter Road, roughly 45 minutes north of Pittsburgh. In the weeks before she vanished, Cherry told her mother that someone had been looking through her bedroom window at night. It frightened her so badly she asked to switch rooms and often slept curled up on the floor. That Friday afternoon, Cherry's bus arrived at approximately 4:05. A witness named Debbie Burke, parked nearby waiting for her own children, watched Cherry step off the bus and walk past a distinctive bluish-green 1970s Dodge van with a snow-capped mountain and skier mural painted on both sides. This was the first day Janice had not been waiting at the stop. It was unseasonably warm, and she had told Leroy to let Cherry walk the rest of the way. Within 5 to 10 minutes, Leroy noticed she had not arrived. He found no trace of her and no footprints in the snow leading up the driveway. Tire impressions were discovered about 50 yards from the house. Bloodhounds lost her scent exactly where the van had been parked. Other children on the bus later reported the van had followed them for several miles. Pennsylvania State Police launched an immediate search with over 250 volunteers, helicopters, and tracking dogs. The family was cleared through polygraph tests. The van became the case's most recognizable detail. It was described as a 1970s Dodge with a mural of a snow-capped mountain and a skier painted on both sides. Tips poured in from across the country, but the vehicle was never identified. In May of that year, Cherry became the first child featured in NCMEC's Have You Seen Me postcard campaign, distributed to millions of households across the United States. The case aired on Unsolved Mysteries in 1990. She was declared legally dead on November 5, 1998, though her mother never accepted it. A 2011 tip deemed potentially crucial pointed to known specific individuals and indicated Cherry was unlikely to be alive. In 2014, a woman in Michigan claiming to be Cherry was ruled out by DNA. In 2015, cadaver dogs searched a Winfield property with no results, but the case accelerated dramatically in 2025 and 2026. In October 2025, Pennsylvania State Police and the FBI excavated a property along River Road in South Buffalo Township, Armstrong County, approximately 10 miles from where Cherry vanished. A private investigator named Steve Ridge announced a $100,000 reward and flagged Cherry's blue backpack as potentially key evidence, believing it may have been submerged in a pond near her grandmother's home. Most significantly, an inmate currently imprisoned on unrelated charges began sending letters claiming his own family members were responsible for the disappearance. He wrote to Cherry's mother, to state police, and to multiple media outlets. But when Janice traveled to the prison to meet him face-to-face, he refused to see her. The letters contain details investigators are still working to verify. Cherry's biological father also remains a person of interest, per state police. The case remains open and actively investigated by Pennsylvania State Police Troop D with FBI assistance. February 22, 2026. marks the 41st anniversary. Janice has publicly stated, "I truly believe I finally know who was responsible. I can't share their name, but I will say it was someone local." Investigators now question whether the famous van was a red herring all along, directing new attention toward a blue sedan parked in a nearby driveway that day. For 41 years, a mother has been waiting. But what happens when a child vanishes, not from a rural road in Pennsylvania, but from a busy street corner in Manhattan? On the very first morning, he was allowed to walk alone. Eaton Pats. On Friday, May 25, 1979, in Soho, Manhattan, a mother watched from her door as her son crossed the first street on his way to the school bus stop. He smiled, waved, and kept walking. A neighborhood woman and a mailman saw him at the intersection of Worcester and Prince Streets. He never reached the bus stop, approximately half a block further, and his family would not learn he was missing until 3:15 that afternoon. Eaton Khalil Pats was born on October 9, 1972. His father, Stanley Pats, was a professional photographer who worked from their home loft at 113 Prince Street in what was then a gritty, industrial neighborhood. His mother, Julie Pats, ran an in-home daycare. Eaton had an older sister, Shira, and a younger brother, Ari. He was described as energetic, trusting, and eager for independence. That morning, he wore a black future flight captain pilot cap, a blue corduroy jacket, blue jeans, and blue sneakers with fluorescent stripes. He carried a blue cloth tote bag with elephant prints containing toy cars and $1 for a soda. That Friday was the last school day before Memorial Day, and his parents had agreed to let him walk to the bus stop alone for the very first time. His teacher noticed his absence that morning, but never reported it to anyone. Nearly 100 police officers deployed with tracking dogs. The search stretched across Soho and lower Manhattan, but produced nothing. The case sent shockwaves far beyond New York and reshaped how America treated missing children. President Reagan designated May 25th as National Missing Children's Day in 1983. Eaton was among the first children pictured on milk cartons, the image of his face becoming one of the most recognized in the country. And his case helped inspire the creation of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children in 1984. Stanley Pats kept Eaton's room exactly as it was. The family never moved, hoping he might one day come home. An early suspect, Jose Antonio Ramos, a convicted offender whose girlfriend had previously walked Eaton to school, admitted in 1988 to taking a boy on May 25, 1979, and being 90% sure it was the same child he later saw on television. Despite this admission, he was never charged in Eaton's case. The Potts family pursued civil action instead and won a $2 million civil judgment against Ramos in 2004, though it was never collected since Ramos had no assets. Every year after that, Stan Pats sent Ramos a copy of Eaton's missing poster with a handwritten note. "What did you do to my little boy?" The real break came in May of 2012. After widespread media coverage of an FBI excavation of a Soho basement, a man named Jose Lopez contacted police about his brother-in-law, Pedro Hernandez. Then 51 years old, Hernandez had been an 18-year-old stock clerk at a bodega near Eaton's bus stop back in 1979. He confessed to luring Eaton into the store's basement and harming him. He reportedly wrote, "I'm sorry, I shook sick him." He told investigators he placed Eaton in a plastic bag, then a box, and left it in a trash pile on the street. According to police, Hernandez had confessed at a church service in Camden, New Jersey in the early 1980s. His family called it an open secret that had been carried for decades. He had never been reported. The first trial in 2015 ended in a mistrial with a hung jury, 11-1 for conviction. The second trial in February 2017 produced a conviction for kidnapping, and Hernandez was sentenced to 25 years to life. But on July 21, 2025, a federal appeals court overturned the conviction, ruling the trial judge's response to a jury question was clearly wrong and manifestly prejudicial. On November 25, 2025, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg announced Hernandez will be retried for a third time. Jury selection must begin by June 1, 2026, or he must be released. Prosecutors have also petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court to reinstate the original conviction. Hernandez, 64, remains incarcerated at Clinton Correctional Facility. Etan's body has never been found. The Potts family moved to Hawaii after the 2017 conviction. The case spans nearly 47 years. But while Etan's disappearance changed the laws of an entire country, the next case involved a boy who vanished before dawn in Iowa, and a mother who has spent 4 decades fighting a battle that most people would have given up on long ago. Johnny Gosch. On Sunday, September 5, 1982, in West Des Moines, Iowa, a boy left his house before dawn to deliver the Sunday paper. His father usually went with him, but did not that morning. He took only the family's miniature dachshund, Gretchen. By 7:45, customers began calling to report undelivered newspapers. His father found the boy's red wagon still full of papers, 2 blocks from home. The dog had come back alone. John David Gosch was born on November 12, 1969. He lived with his parents, John Sr. and Noreen Gosch. At the end of a cul-de-sac, he was a paperboy for the Des Moines Register with a perfect service award. He used the money he earned to save for a motorbike and to buy his mother roses. That Sunday was Labor Day weekend. He left home at approximately 5:45 in the morning to pick up his newspapers at the drop point near 42nd Street and Marcourt Lane. Other carriers saw him collect his papers at the drop point. 2 paperboys, Mike and John Rossi, observed Johnny talking to a stocky man sitting in a blue 2-toned Ford Fairmont. The man appeared to be asking for directions. John Rossi later told investigators that something about the interaction struck him as wrong, though he could not articulate exactly what it was at the time. A neighbor later reported hearing a car door slam in the pre-dawn darkness and seeing a silver vehicle speed away from the area. By 7:45 that morning, customers began calling the Des Moines Register to report that their Sunday papers had not been delivered. John Sr. went out looking. He found Johnny's red wagon, still loaded with undelivered newspapers, sitting 2 blocks from home. The family's dachshund had returned to the house alone. What followed was a cascade of failures that would haunt the case for decades. West Des Moines police did not arrive for approximately 45 minutes. Chief Orville Cooney told the volunteer searchers to go home because, in his words, the kid was probably just a runaway. He initially refused FBI involvement entirely. Iowa law at the time required a 72-hour waiting period before someone could even be classified as missing, meaning 3 full days had to pass before the system would treat the disappearance with any urgency. Cooney passed away of a heart attack in 2003, just as the Gosch family was preparing a misconduct lawsuit against the department. Johnny's case became linked to the disappearance of Eugene Martin, another Des Moines Register paperboy who vanished under nearly identical circumstances on August 12, 1984. A third paperboy, Mark Allen, disappeared in March 1986. No proven connection between the 3 cases has ever been established. Johnny and Eugene became the first missing children on milk cartons, produced by a Des Moines dairy in 1984. Noreen Gosch threw herself into advocacy with a determination that would define the rest of her life. She founded the Johnny Gosch Foundation, testified before the U.S. Senate, and helped secure $10 million in funding to establish NCMEC. She authored Why Johnny Can't Come Home, updated in 2024. Her most controversial claim: in March of 1997, she says Johnny, then 27, visited her apartment at 2:30 in the morning with an unidentified man. She says he revealed his birthmark and spoke for about 90 minutes before telling her not to contact police. John Sr. has said he is not sure whether the visit occurred. Noreen wrote and lobbied for the Johnny Gosch bill, which became Iowa law on July 1, 1984, requiring immediate police response when a child is reported missing and eliminating the 72-hour waiting period that had cost her family precious time. At least 8 other states went on to adopt similar legislation based on the Iowa model. The case remains open but cold. No arrests have ever been made. NCMEC has released age progression photos showing what Johnny might look like today. He has never been declared legally dead. His mother continues to believe he is alive somewhere. But while Johnny's case was shaped by a mother's refusal to stop searching, the next one would sit untouched for 24 years before science finally pointed investigators toward a family living just miles away. Asha Degree. On the night of February 14, 2000, during a fierce rainstorm in Shelby, North Carolina, a girl packed a bag with several sets of clothes, left her house without a coat sometime between 2:30 and 4 in the morning, and walked out into the darkness. She was 9 years old, and for 24 years, no one could explain why. Asha Jaquila Degree was born on August 5, 1990. She lived with her parents, Harold and Asun and Aquila Degree, and her older brother O'Brien on Oakcrest Drive north of Shelby. Harold worked as a dock loader. Aquila worked at a piano factory. The parents had married on Valentine's Day, 1988. The family was described as stable, protective, and deeply religious, attending Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church. They had no computer in the home to protect the children from outside influences. Asha was an honors student, a star basketball point guard, and described by everyone who knew her as shy and cautious. Her family said she was scared to death of dogs. The idea that she would leave home voluntarily in the middle of a storm without a coat made no sense to anyone who knew her. Between 3:45 and 4:15 that morning, 2 independent motorists saw a small girl matching her description walking south along Highway 18, about 1.3 miles from home. When the second driver turned around 3 times and tried to approach, Asha ran into the woods and disappeared. Her belongings, including a hair bow, a pencil, a marker, and candy wrappers, were found the next day in a shed at Turner's Upholstery, roughly 100 yards off the highway. On August 3, 2001, more than a year and a half after she vanished, construction worker Terry Fleming made a discovery. He found Asha's backpack buried in 2 sealed black garbage bags off Highway 18 in Burke County, near the town of Morganton, 26 miles north of Shelby. That was the opposite direction from where she had last been seen walking. Whoever placed it there had gone to considerable effort to conceal it. Inside were Asha's belongings, along with 2 items that did not belong to her: a Dr. Seuss book, McElligot's Pool, checked out from her school library, and a New Kids on the Block concert t-shirt. Neither item has ever been explained. For over 2 decades, the case produced no suspects. Then came 2024. Advanced forensic genetic genealogy linked DNA from the backpack to 2 individuals associated with a local family. In September 2024, FBI and Cleveland County investigators executed search warrants at multiple properties belonging to the Dedman family. For the first time, authorities publicly stated, Asha was a victim of homicide with her body concealed. The suspects identified include Roy Lee Dedman, approximately 80, the family patriarch, who lived less than 4 miles from where Asha was last seen and was witnessed digging a chest-deep hole on his property. His wife Connie Elliott Dedman, and several of their daughters who were teenagers in 2000. One of them, Lizzie Dedman Foster, allegedly confessed at a gathering in the mid-2000s, saying she was responsible, and later texted, "The theory is, I did it, accident, covered it up." In a separate message, she wrote, "I caused this." She failed a polygraph in February 2025. Another daughter, Sarah Dedman Capel, whose father gave her a green AMC Rambler, matching witness descriptions of a car seen near Asha. And Annalie Dedman Ramirez, whose DNA was found on Asha's undershirt. No known connection between the Dedman and Degree families has ever been established. Investigators believe adult assistance from the parents would have been necessary to conceal what happened. In April 2025, FBI agents searched former Dedman property in Lincoln County. No arrests have been made, no charges filed. The reward has been raised to $100,000. Asha's body has not been recovered. The case, which baffled investigators for a quarter century, is now officially classified as a homicide investigation. The Degree family continues to wait, 26 years later, for someone to finally tell them what happened to their daughter on that rainy Valentine's Day night. But while Asha left her house in the middle of the night under circumstances no one has been able to explain, the next child vanished in broad daylight, inside a school full of people, with his stepmother the last known person to see him. Kyron Horman. On Friday, June 4, 2010, at Skyline Elementary School in Portland, Oregon, it was Science Fair Day. A stepmother walked through the displays with her stepson, photographed him standing in front of his red-eyed tree frog project, and said goodbye in the hallway at approximately 8:45 in the morning. That photograph, showing the boy smiling in a black CSY t-shirt, is the last known image of him. He never reported to any of his classes, and it took 6 hours for anyone to notice. Kyron Richard Horman was born on September 9, 2002. His biological parents, Kane Horman and Desiree Young, married in 2000 and divorced in 2002. After health issues forced Desiree to give up full custody, Kyron lived with his father and his stepmother, Terry Moulton Horman, whom Kane married in 2007. Desiree later married Tony Young, a Medford police detective. The family lived near Forest Park in Portland's Skyline area. That morning, Terry says she saw Kyron walking toward his classroom after they said goodbye. A fellow student reportedly saw him near the school's south entrance around 9. But Kyron never checked into any class. His teacher had been told he had a doctor's appointment, so his absence went unquestioned the entire day. When he did not get off the school bus at 3:30 that afternoon, Kane and Terry went to the school. Police arrived at 4:33, approximately 6 hours after his last confirmed sighting. Terry Horman's account came under immediate and intense scrutiny. Her timeline included an unaccounted 90-minute gap between 10:10 and 11:39 in the morning, during which she claimed she drove their baby through the wooded hills surrounding the school to soothe an earache. She failed 2 polygraph tests and refused a third. Cell phone records placed her near Highway 30, which was inconsistent with the route she described to investigators. According to Desiree Young, 4 witnesses, including a classmate's grandmother and a school bus driver, reportedly saw Terry walking Kyron out of the school building toward her truck that morning. None of these accounts have been officially confirmed by police. In late June of 2010, investigators revealed a deeply troubling allegation. Landscaper Rodolfo Sanchez told police that Terry had approached him 5 months before Kyron's disappearance offering a large sum of money to harm Cain. Law enforcement set up an undercover sting operation, equipping Sanchez with a body wire and sending him back to speak with Terry. But the operation produced no usable evidence and no admissions. Terry has consistently denied any involvement in Chiron's disappearance or any plan against Cain. She told ABC News in 2015, "They already had settled on me to be their patsy." The search that followed was the largest in Oregon history. Over 1,300 searchers from 3 states fanned out across the heavily wooded terrain surrounding the school. Canine units, dive teams searching Sauvie Island waters, and FBI agents all joined the effort. The investigation cost an estimated $1.4 million and generated over 4,200 tips. A grand jury convened and heard testimony from multiple witnesses, but it never returned an indictment against anyone. Cain filed for divorce on June 28, 2010, and obtained a restraining order. Terry eventually moved to Roseburg, then remarried in 2018 in Nevada, and now lives in California. In May 2025, Nathan Vasquez announced an exhaustive case review with fresh eyes, describing it as one of the most significant steps in the investigation in years. The Multnomah County Sheriff's Office and Gresham Police spent a full year digitizing thousands of pages of case files that had previously existed only on paper. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit has been brought in to re-examine all evidence with modern profiling techniques. A public vigil was held on the 15th anniversary on June 1st, 2025. Cain Horman stated, "You're not home. We're not done." No charges have been filed. No suspect has been officially named. Chiron's body has never been found. A $50,000 reward remains available. If you've made it this far and enjoyed deep dives into the most shocking criminal cases, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to press the bell icon. But while Chiron vanished from inside a school full of people, the next case centers on a boy who, according to every camera in the building, was never there at all. Dewan Sims. On Sunday, December 11, 1994, a mother in Livonia, Michigan, told police she had taken her son Christmas shopping at Wonderland Mall. She said they arrived at approximately 1:45 in the afternoon, entered through Target, and that the boy disappeared in a corridor at around 2:30. She said she searched on her own for nearly 2 hours before alerting security at 4 in the afternoon. But when investigators reviewed the mall's surveillance footage, they found something that did not add up. And it changed everything. Dewan Christian Sims was born on October 29, 1990. He lived with his mother, Dewana Harris, and her boyfriend, Victor Jackson, in an apartment on the 6400 block of Vaughan on Detroit's west side. He had a notable gap between his 2 upper front teeth and was wearing a blue hooded winter jacket with a yellow, blue, and green windbreaker underneath. His biological father was never publicly named, but passed a polygraph and was never considered a suspect. Dewana later had 2 daughters and married twice more. What Dewana told police was straightforward. She said she and Dewan arrived at the mall at approximately 1:45, entered through the Target store, walked through the corridors together, and that he wandered away from her at around 2:30. She said she spent nearly 2 hours searching on her own before alerting mall security at 4 o'clock. It was a simple account, but the cameras told a completely different story. Police pulled the footage from all 12 surveillance cameras in the mall and reviewed every frame. Dewana appeared on the tapes, walking through the building just as she described. But Dewan was not visible on any of them, not entering through the Target entrance, not walking through the corridors, not standing beside his mother, not anywhere in the building at any point during the day. Furthermore, Witnesses at the mall reported seeing Duwana arrive alone at approximately 3:30, a full hour after she claimed her son had already disappeared. Her account placed him vanishing at 2:30. The witnesses placed her arriving by herself at 3:30. The gap was impossible to reconcile. On December 21, 1994, Lieutenant Pete Kunst held a press conference and publicly announced evidence from the tapes at Wonderland would indicate that Duwan Sims was never at Wonderland. Duwana failed 2 polygraph tests. During the second, administered by federal agents, investigators believed she was close to revealing what happened before she abruptly walked out of the room. Her own mother, Beverly, gave police a version of events that differed from Duwana's public account. Over 50 officers were assigned to the case. More than 1,000 tips were received. Police searched the family's home with both consent and a warrant, along with abandoned buildings, railroad tracks, and Hines Park. Investigators brought in cadaver dogs and searched waterways. A grand jury convened in October 1995 and heard testimony over several weeks, but returned no charges. Without a body or a confession, prosecutors could not move forward. In November of that year, an anonymous letter arrived alleging Duwan had been placed in a dumpster. The letter was investigated but never verified. In 1999, bones found in Hines Park were tested and confirmed they were not his. For years after the disappearance, police tailed Duwana annually around the anniversary, watching for any visits to a potential burial location. She never led them anywhere. In December 2019, 25 years after the disappearance, a man named Mike Cash walked into Livonia Police Department and told officers he believed he might be Duwan. He said he had no memory of his early life and that the details of his background did not add up. The case briefly generated national attention. DNA testing was conducted in 2021 and confirmed he was not Duwan. It was another dead end in a case full of them. Duwana Wiggins passed away on December 7, 2020, in Durham, North Carolina, just 4 days before the 26th anniversary and before the DNA results were even returned. Former Police Chief Robert Stevenson said, "She was our last hope of solving this case." The case remains open and unsolved. Duwan would be 35 years old today. On the 30th anniversary in December 2024, Livonia Police Captain Greg Yon stated, "That day's not forgotten." The department's position has never changed. Detective Sergeant Shelley Holloway's assessment remains the definitive statement. She is the one and only suspect. We think whatever happened to Duwan happened someplace else. But while Duwan's case hinged on footage that contradicted every word his mother said, the next one unfolded on the other side of the world, on a quiet suburban street in Melbourne, where a girl walked towards school and simply never arrived. Siriakorn Bung Siribun. On Thursday, June 2, 2011, in Barona, a suburb in Melbourne's Outer East, a girl ate breakfast with her family and left home at approximately 8:20 in the morning for the 10-minute walk to school. The route was 700 meters. She had walked it many times before. A neighbor saw her heading toward Albert Avenue. A key witness, revealed in June 2012, reported seeing her at approximately 8:55 on Harcourt Road, only about 130 meters from the school's rear gate. She appeared to be preparing to turn the corner. She never arrived. Siriakorn Siribun, known to everyone as Bung, was born on December 30, 1997. She and her older sister Siriporn, called Pang, were born in Ubon Ratchathani, Thailand. Their parents had divorced when Bung was young. Their mother, Vanita, later met Australian Fred Pattison while vacationing in Melbourne in 2004. They married, moved to Australia in 2008, and settled on Elsie Street in Baronia in the city of Knox. Bung was a student at Baronia Heights College and wore her blue and white checked school uniform with a dark blue zip front jacket that morning. She carried a dark school backpack. She did not bring her mobile phone. The school assumed Bung was absent due to illness and made no attempt to contact her parents. This was a critical failure, because Bung had a perfect attendance record. She had never missed a day. If anyone at the school had simply picked up the phone, the alarm would have been raised hours earlier. Instead, when she did not come home by 3:30 that afternoon, it was a friend's phone call that revealed she had never been at school at all. Her parents reported her missing that evening, nearly 7 hours after she had last been seen. Victoria Police launched Task Force Puma in October 2011, assigning 12 detectives to work the case full-time. Over time, the following 2 years, the team investigated more than 250 registered offenders living in the surrounding area, collected over 1,100 pieces of evidence, and knocked on more than 1,000 doors across Baronia and neighboring suburbs. They reviewed hours of CCTV footage from local businesses and interviewed every resident along Bung's walking route. In 2012, a 24-year-old local man walked into a police station and falsely confessed to accidentally hitting Bung with his car. His story did not hold up under questioning, and no physical evidence supported his account. He was eventually cleared. In 2016, police released images of a white 1971 to 1973 Holden HQ Kingswood station wagon seen on Napoleon Road in nearby Rowville between 8:45 and 9 on the morning Bung vanished. The driver was described as a Caucasian male, late 30s to early 40s, bald or fair-haired with full sleeve tattoos and a large tattoo on his neck. A young girl of Asian appearance was sitting in the front passenger seat. Police appealed to the public for any information about the vehicle or its driver. Despite the distinctive description of both the car and the man, neither has ever been identified. The vehicle remains the most significant lead in the case. The case remains open and unsolved. A $1 million Australian reward remains on offer. Victoria Police's homicide squad continues the investigation. Bung would be 28 years old today. Tragically, her mother Vanita was diagnosed with primary central nervous system lymphoma in May 2024 and reportedly passed away without ever learning what happened to her daughter. A mother who traveled halfway across the world to build a new life for her family, who spent 13 years waiting for a phone call that never came. But while Bung vanished from a suburban street in broad daylight, the next case took place deep in a Montana forest, where a girl was last seen following a stranger who asked her to play a game. Nylean K. Marshall. On Saturday, June 25, 1983, in the Elkhorn Mountains of Helena National Forest, Montana, a family attended a picnic for the Capital City Radio Club in a meadow near Clancy. Children were playing along Maupin Creek near beaver dams, catching frogs. Then a boy came back to the adults and repeated something one of the girls had told him. She had said, "That man wants me to follow the shadow." Nylean K. Marshall was born on September 18, 1978, in Orange, California. Her mother, Nancy, had divorced her biological father, William Briscoe, and married Kim Marshall, who adopted Nylean and her older brother, Nathan. The family lived near Warm Springs Creek in Alhambra, near Clancy, Montana. They were active members of the LDS Church and described as close-knit. They also had a younger daughter, Noreen, who was 2 at the time. That afternoon, at approximately 4 o'clock, Nylean was playing with other children along the creek, catching frogs near the beaver dams. It was an ordinary Saturday in a beautiful setting. Several of the children reported seeing an unidentified man wearing a purple or blue jogging suit speaking to Nylean. A boy said the man tried to get the children to join a game he called Follow the Shadow. The boy said Nylene told him, "That man wants me to follow the shadow." He last saw Nylene walking with the man close behind her until they moved beyond the tree line and out of view. When a 13-year-old girl who had been keeping an eye on Nylene returned to check on her, the child was gone. Nobody saw her after that. A massive 10-day search involved nearly 2,800 volunteers, helicopters, infrared sensors, search dogs, mine shaft teams, and pond draining across the vast forest. Tracking dogs followed Nylene's scent from where she had been playing to the edge of the creek, where it abruptly stopped. The sudden end of the scent trail suggested she had been picked up and carried or placed in a vehicle. Search teams combed through hundreds of square miles of wilderness. No trace of her was ever found in the 976,000-acre forest. No clothing, no remains, no sign that an animal had been involved. It was as though she had simply ceased to exist. In November 1985, an anonymous call to NCMEC claimed the caller had taken Nylene. The call could not be traced. Then, beginning in early 1986, something far more unsettling arrived. Typewritten letters postmarked from Madison, Wisconsin, were sent to Child Find of America from a man claiming he had picked up a girl named Kay. The letters were detailed. They contained information that had never been released to the public. They described traveling with her to multiple cities and countries. Phone calls followed. They were traced to phone booths in Madison and Edgerton, Wisconsin. But once investigators identified which booths the calls were coming from, the calls stopped immediately. The writer was never found, and the letters stopped as well. In August 1991, a man named Richard James Wilson came forward and confessed to taking Nylene. But when investigators pressed him for specifics, he was unable to locate any site or provide verifiable details. He recanted his confession within days and was released after just 1 week. In 1995, Nylene's mother, Nancy Marshall, was found dead in a Mexico City hotel room under circumstances that remain deeply disputed. There were signs of a struggle, but Mexican authorities initially classified her death one way, then changed the determination to undetermined. The case was never fully resolved. Her passing is not believed by investigators to be connected to Nylene's disappearance, though some members of the family have never accepted that conclusion. The case remains open and unsolved. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office Detective Captain Chad Cross receives approximately 10 tips per year. NCMEC's team. Adam reviewed the entire case file in recent years with no new leads. The man in the jogging suit, the only identified suspect, has never been found. Nylene would be 47 years old. But while Nylene's disappearance generated a massive search and national attention, the next case received almost none. 2 sisters vanished on the same afternoon, and for over 2 decades, almost nobody looked for them. Danette and Jeanette Millbrook. On Sunday, March 18, 1990, in Augusta, Georgia, twin sisters walked to their old neighborhood after church and lunch to collect $20 in bus fare from their godfather. They visited several relatives that afternoon. At each stop, they did something unusual. They repeatedly asked for someone to walk home with them. Their family would later find this deeply alarming. At approximately 4:30 in the afternoon, they stopped at the Pump and Shop gas station at 12th Street and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and bought snacks from a clerk named Gloria, a family friend who knew them well. Gloria noticed a car parked outside but did not note its description. When she looked up, both the car and the girls were gone. Danette Latonia Millbrook and Jeanette Latrice Millbrook were born on April 2, 1974, in Augusta. They were fraternal twins approaching their 16th birthday. Danette was bow-legged and required daily medication for seizures. Both had shoulder-length jerry curls, pierced ears, and matching scars near their navels from infant surgery. They were among 7 children raised by their single mother, Mary Louise Sturgis, in Augusta. Their father, John Millbrook, had been minimally involved in their lives. He later told family members the twins were dead and buried before recanting what he said. He passed away with dementia in 2021 without ever cooperating with investigators. The family had recently moved from the Bethlehem neighborhood to Jennings Homes on Cooney Circle off Olive Road, a move that took the twins away from their friends, their school, and everything familiar to them. Earlier that day, the twins had told their mother that a man in a van had followed them on a prior errand. She did not know what to make of it at the time. When Louise called police that evening, she was told to wait 24 hours. When an officer finally responded, misspelled their name as Millbrooks and recorded the wrong birthday. Those errors were never corrected in the official records and would cause problems for years to come. The original detective assigned to the case conducted minimal investigation and classified the twins as runaways, despite the family insisting they would never leave voluntarily. In 1993, someone, reportedly within law enforcement, falsely informed NCMEC that the twins had been found. This removed them from the National Registry entirely, even though the family was still desperately searching. The original case file was then lost completely. For 22 years, from 1991 to 2013, the case was effectively abandoned. The family pleaded with authorities repeatedly, but nobody listened. It was finally reopened in 2013 by newly elected Richmond County Sheriff Richard Roundtree, who called it a terrible injustice. The Fall Line podcast devoted its first season to the case in 2017, raising funds for a reward, a billboard, and familial DNA collection. Oxygen's 2019 documentary brought national attention for the first time. Among the persons of interest, Joseph Patrick Washington, a suspected serial offender who lived near the gas station and targeted young black women in the early 1990s. He was convicted on unrelated charges and passed away in prison in 1999. A prison inmate named Ernest Vaughns wrote that the twins had been taken to a location on 3rd Street, implicating men he identified by street names. Investigators partially confirmed his account, but believed he may have been describing a different incident due to timeline issues. In November 2025, a private investigator contacted the family about a Jane Doe found in Louisiana in 1993, whose description matched one of the twins. A DNA comparison is currently underway through NAMIS, the National Missing and Unidentified Persons Database. Results could take 6 to 9 months. If the match is confirmed, it would be the first physical evidence recovered in the case in over 35 years. The twins' social security numbers have never been used since the day they disappeared. Not once. Nobody has ever claimed their identities or attempted to use their information. But that pattern of unequal attention would repeat itself just 12 years later in Milwaukee, when a girl vanished half a block from her school and the nation barely noticed. Alexis Patterson. On Friday, May 3, 2002, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a girl left her house on the 2200 block of North 49th Street and walked toward High Mount Boulevard Community School. The school was less than half a block away. Her stepfather walked her to the crosswalk at approximately 8 in the morning. A 5th grade crossing guard escorted her across the street. Classmates reportedly saw her crying on the playground, but she never entered the building, and the school did not call her mother because their policy was to notify parents only after 2 consecutive absences. Alexis Patterson was born on April 4, 1995, in Milwaukee. Her mother, Ayanna Patterson, had separated from Alexis's biological father, Kenya Campbell, who was incarcerated on driving charges at the time. Ayanna had married Laurent Bourgeois, who had a significant criminal history. He had served as the getaway driver in a 1994 bank robbery that resulted in the death of a Glendale police officer, for which he received immunity in exchange for testimony. He was subsequently arrested multiple times on other charges. That morning, Ayanna had discovered Alexis had not completed her homework. As punishment, she refused to let her bring cupcakes she had bought for class snack day. Alexis left the house upset. Laurent told police he walked her to the crosswalk, watched the crossing guard escort her across the street, and then left. But key details in his account did not hold up under scrutiny. He claimed he then drove his son to the bus stop after dropping Alexis off. But his son told investigators that did not happen. And the bus driver confirmed the boy was not on the bus that morning. It was a small detail, but it meant Laurent had lied about where he went immediately after Alexis was last seen. He failed a polygraph test. Prosecutors offered him full immunity in exchange for sharing whatever he knew about what happened that morning. He provided nothing new and maintained his original account. 41 police officers, canine units, dive teams, helicopters, and hundreds of volunteers searched the area surrounding the school and the surrounding neighborhoods. Over 5,000 interviews were conducted and more than 10,000 pages of documents generated. Tips came in from across the state, but none led to a breakthrough. In 2016, a significant lead emerged when an Ohio man contacted investigators believing his ex-wife, Lisa Miller, might be Alexis. She had no childhood memories before approximately age 10, matched the physical description closely, and had no verifiable background from her early years. DNA testing was conducted. The results determined she was not Alexis. Ayanna disputes those results to this day and has publicly questioned whether the testing was done properly. Laurent Bourgeois passed away on January 19, 2021, alongside his second wife. Under circumstances investigators noted, his passing generated renewed tips. In 2022 and 2023, USA Today and the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel obtained over 10,000 pages of previously sealed police records through legal action. The documents were analyzed in Season 4 of the Unsolved podcast. The disparity in media coverage surrounding Alexis's case became a national conversation in the years that followed. She disappeared on May 3, 2002. Exactly 1 month later, on June 5th, Elizabeth Smart was taken from her home in Salt Lake City, Utah. Smart's case received immediate and sustained national coverage, FBI involvement within 24 hours, and a $250,000 reward. By contrast, Alexis's case did not reach national news for 6 weeks. Her reward was $10,000. FBI involvement took 3 days. The gap in coverage was staggering. At one point, 67 total stories had been published about Alexis's disappearance, while a single week alone produced 400 stories about Smart. The contrast became a landmark example of what media critics and advocacy groups have termed unequal coverage based on the race of the missing person. In 2012, Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett officially declared May 3rd as Alexis Patterson Forget-Me-Not Day. The case remains open and unsolved, handled by the Milwaukee Police Department Cold Case Unit and the FBI Milwaukee Field Office. Detective Timothy Keller stated, "We don't know that this is a homicide. We don't even know if she's deceased. There is a chance she's out there right now." In 2024, a woman named Toshanique falsely claimed to be Alexis, but she was quickly debunked by her own family. Alexis would be approximately 30 years old today. A $10,000 reward remains active. Her biological father, Kenya Campbell, published 22 Years of Hell, the Alexis Patterson story in 2024, keeping her name in the public conversation. Somewhere in Milwaukee, A half-block walk to school still has no ending. This was all from our side today. Thanks for watching. Click here to check out another video.